Okay, you make a lot of speculation. You're going to get a lot of stuff wrong. You're going to get a lot of stuff wrong. Episode 56 of ReZero. Great episode. I don't really feel like it's one of the better episodes of this season so far. Just a lot of info dump, a lot of conversations happening, a little speech from Subaru over here. But yeah, it's a lot of the speculation that I made last episode seemingly not coming true. I mean, my whole idea of Priscilla essentially being the dragon and Liliana being Capella, like Capella disguised themselves as the songstress, and that's how they got close to the government official in order to be able to take over. But I don't know, they still could be. I mean, the Subaru was under the water for a little bit there. Maybe when he was underwater, they changed back into those forms and then kind of rescued him just to kind of trick him again. I don't think that's the case at this point. I think we can officially separate the two of them. And plus the fact that it seems like Lust is still at the tower, whereas Liliana is running around with Priscilla at this point. So unless they're communicating to, Regulus and still kind of hiding the fact that they're Liliana, I don't think I can separate the two of them at this point. It was a fun speculation there. Come on, it was a fun speculation. Plus it's also kind of leaning itself towards the idea of the dragon blood and everything. I'm wondering if it's just more of a fact that with Capella specifically being a member of the royal family, like I was speculating with being Emirata, maybe possibly it's the two of them, is the dragon and Capella themselves as two equals, and maybe a separation there. I don't know. There's a lot of possibilities here that are very, very interesting to me. But anyways, getting into the episode proper, let's just dive into it. I'm going to kind of go with two different sections here, one being Subaru's perspective and one being Emilia. Because with Emilia's perspective, not too much happening here, besides the fact that we've, at this point, confirmed 291 wives. I like how every episode of Regulus, the number of wives keeps increasing, but at least it seems like now we're finally confirming this dude had, at some point, 291 wives. Okay, and he did confirm my idea here that it's really more of a fact that he's sort of putting them in positions or replacing slots with wives. And the idea that he had 291 of them, and 53 remain living, and specifically giving Emilia that number, I'm assuming it's just more of an idea that he's had all of these, they're dying, and he's just putting them into slots. Okay, you're going to go in this slot right here. And yes, I guess based on this episode, we can confirm why they've died. Like just some casual DV out of nowhere. Just, oh, you didn't notice that she was tired. I'm going to kill you. It's like, okay, yeah, this guy just casually just takes things out. And again, it goes back to that whole kind of curiosity they have with these archbishops. They all kind of, at least with Regulus, they seem like they're level-headed sometimes, but then there's like this one thing. It's just they don't see things like normal people do. The idea of just blasting off her head because she didn't notice that this new wife is tired is absurd. But he's getting the wedding set up. He's having the wives get the wedding set up. I was about to say he's getting the wedding set up. Getting the wedding set up, talking about the idea of Lust being sort of this meat-obsessed woman that does not deserve love, which that's kind of a curious little addition right there. And yes, it really establishing the idea that, of course, these women, the wives of Regulus, have accepted this. And it's kind of one of those, like, you're too pure Emilia moments where it's like, you do understand what's going on, right? Like, it is clicking in your head what's happening here. Like, this can't be her just being naive. Like, you do understand this guy literally nearly blew her head off. She's probably not okay with this. It's just that she has no choice. This is kind of one of those moments where the character kind of gets a little bit weird in the idea of, like, Emilia, why does this confuse you? He just nearly blew her head off. Of course, it's not something that she accepts. It's just she has to accept it. Like, this isn't a question. She's going to die if she doesn't. And the idea that she's just going to walk out the door and go just strolling off because he might harm them is absurd. He's probably going to hunt them down and kill them. They have no choice here. So why is this confusing to you? I understand, again, it's just getting the idea that she's too pure and, it's kind of pointing out the fact that this is wrong and she is establishing this is wrong. But again, I just think they don't have a choice. And it's a sad reality. It is really, unfortunately, a sad reality for all those women. But no, we did have one little final see. Emilia goes to make her escape, seemingly. She's got to contact Subaru and let him know where the archbishops are. And as she's trying to climb out of there, eventually she overhears Regulus talking to Lust, being very mad that she's interrupted his wedding. Then Lust confirms that, no, it wasn't me. I didn't open the floodgate, which we get a sense there because technically she was over at this tower. And as the dragon was fleeing, it came from the other location. So it's obviously somebody else. I would assume that I think there's 4 different towers at this point. So it's going to be Regulus is at one of them, Lust is at one of them, Wrath is at one of them, and then Gluttony would probably be at the other one, which I think currently when we had that fight, Roy was at the tower where Lust was, so I'm assuming Lai is at the other tower. So I would probably assume it's going to be Lai. It could be Wrath is doing it, and Wrath is probably doing it because she's mad. I could see her just being mad and wanting to just wipe out everybody inside there because she's trying to get rid of Subaru or something like that. But yeah, kind of a little thing there. But anyways, the important thing in the scene is that, yes, cut forward a little bit later, Emilia comes in there following Regulus leaving and picks up this, what I'm guessing is a Metia. Picks up the Metia and looks at it, has a cute little squeak noise. Activates, she just makes this little stupid little goofy squeak, and she like points it away like it's gonna blast something. She almost looked like she was doing a transformation from a magical girl show. But no, Al answers it. Now here's a very curious question mark. One, why does Al have one of these Metias? And two, whose Metia was it? If we can assume that, yes, this Metia is a two-way communication to the same Metia, possibly, or at least she's picking up the thing after it's communicated to the same location, my assumption here is that there's a possibility that Al either got the Metia after Lust left it behind, or possibly Al is over there and has at least incapacitated or taken down Lust, and then got the Metia that she was using. Question mark. Or he could just have another Metia from somewhere else and is kind of just broadcasting out and eventually just picked up to hers. That's a curious question mark. I am very curious about that. Now, the only thing that's kind of pushing against that idea that this is the Metia that Lust was just now using and that Al is incapacitated or stole that Metia, the only thing working against that is that, yeah, Capella should be at that tower, and Al didn't go with Subaru and them to that tower. He said that he was going to go find his princess and went off some other direction before they even got there. So now he could have kind of re-pivot directions and came there still, but it also creates the question mark of, was he just there the entire time while Subaru was fighting Capella and never stood in? Like, never got involved until they were gone and then snuck in there. Which that would sort of make him a little bit more suspect. Like, what is he doing there? Why wouldn't he not get involved? So yeah, it kind of pushes it more to the idea that it just could be just a communication device and it just happened to pick up on that communication. But yeah, he specifically said that, oh, I got a response. Like he was just kind of shooting out into the dark and somebody picked up. Anyways, we'll see, but that's kind of my prediction with him currently. But yeah, everything around Subaru. Now this is where, especially early on, a lot of interesting stuff here. And yes, some great little action with Priscilla, even though I do have my question marks there. But yes, starting off with Subaru, leaving off the point where the dragon, here he fell off the dragon, fell into the water. And yes, in the opening of this episode, we get to see that he is puking out some sort of shadow. Now, initially, when it first started happening, I thought this was going to be his gate finally breaking. Or his gate is broken, as it said in the ReZero shorts. And if he gets too much mana, it'll basically destroy him. And so I thought this was what was happening. Because that was a thing that I had in my mind when he fell in the water and everything was going to crap. Like this whole thing happened with Capella, the dragon. You have over here, Crucius getting infected by the dragon blood. I was like, okay, this could technically be a good restart point, but I didn't think it was going to happen. But one of the theories that I had for if it was going to reset, it could just be simply that Subaru dies. Too much mana because he doesn't have Beatrice with him. Too much mana and he just dies and reset. But no, he's puking out some sort of darkness. And it shows briefly some mob beast wolf things and a dragon, and they fight each other. And my assumption, what it's symbolizing here, because he does get his leg back, and this is going to what a theory that I did have with him losing his leg, is that the dragon blood will somehow work for him. Like it will somehow choose him, he's the selected, or maybe possibly the witch inside of him is going to control it. But either way, this is sort of symbolizing the dragon itself is protecting him. That he's going to get overcome by the mob beast and the corruption itself, and it's going to take over his body, he's going to become something. But then the dragon of this dragon blood is fighting back. So this gets me into my theory about the idea of Capella being two individuals that are actually the same individual. This royal family member, Emeretta, that is Capella, but it could also be the dragon, because these royal family members do seem to have this dragon blood, this blessing from the dragon. And so this could be that sort of separation there, the good side of Capella and the bad side of Capella, or at least Emeretta. And so right here, this could be the dragon, that good dragon, that is trying to save Subaru's life, trying to keep him from being corrupted, and it's fighting against the corruption, the bad side of it. Very interesting, though. But yes, he wakes up to the queen. He wakes up to the queen, Priscilla. There is something about a red dress and a massive sword that just absolutely hits. Priscilla looking good. Priscilla looking good. Just waking him up, testing out him. I like how she's like casually just like slip, don't scream. Oh, well, yeah, it looks like it's healing up your wound. Gotta be dragon blood. Oh, let me stab you in the neck. Doesn't look like that heals. She's like performing experiments on him just to see if he can entertain her. No, yeah, that's not working. Hey, let's stab your eye. Let's try here. Let's try just casually stabbing him. It's good stuff. And yes, Liliana. We got Liliana back being a goofball. Most of this episode with Liliana, just mostly her just kind of doing her music in order to cure the wrath, which does, yes, beg the question mark, is Liliana essentially able to cure things? Or is it just simply the idea that she is distracting people long enough that this is breaking? Because the idea that we've kind of presented with Wrath is that Wrath is sort of mending people's minds together and causing chaos through that. And so I can assume that, yes, by broadcasting out to everybody, talking to everybody, and it's spreading out to other people, they're all becoming of one mind with Wrath right now, which is angry. Wrath right now is seemingly still angry with the whole situation with Subaru. Or at least, Petal Goose, that is Subaru, Sloth. But yeah, I'm kind of curious if she's got the ability to cure people, or if it's just simply that she's singing. That she's singing and she's helping people. Because I've had this kind of feeling that Liliana herself can see into people's minds and see what's troubling them. And that, I mean, that could be in the lyrics too. The lyrics themselves calm people. But we'll see. But yeah, specifically what the dragon blood stuff they talk about is that the dragon blood was one of 3 treasures the holy dragon bestowed upon the actual royal family. So again, very interesting there. I'll be curious. I don't know if they've actually talked about any other treasures that was bestowed upon them, but again, it seems like at least the dragon itself, or at least the holy dragon possibly, the dragon blood itself is seeming to accept Subaru, so it's not overtaking him. It doesn't look pretty. It doesn't look pretty. And it does make me kind of wonder if possibly it's trying to fight back for Crush as well. Because they say that Crush, something is fighting inside of her, causing her pain, discomfort, but she hasn't changed anything. So the assumption there is that maybe possibly with Crush as well, yes, she's disfigured, just like Subaru is. Subaru's leg doesn't look pretty. And maybe it's just her face looks kind of like his skin that is on his leg. It's not that it's taking over her, but it is making her not look good. But yeah, Priscilla informs him about the other demands. They get in a quick little fight. Again, thanking for showing his resolve by giving him a reward, which is to show him the Yang sword and the knowledge of the demi-beast as a reward. Really great visually for Priscilla herself. Just the drawing of the sword looked really fantastic. And just the pan shot around did look good and not good at the same time. Like, I think her herself looked really good. I think that lack of sort of showing any connection is kind of annoying, which does, yes, kind of indicate the idea of how freaking fast and how, yes, very sharp her cuts were. But I didn't like, of course, the CGI monsters. Like, we didn't CGI the dragon. We got to CGI something, I guess, but I didn't care much for the CGI, the CGI monsters, but it still looked good. It was still a kind of a very interesting shot. Again, kind of showing how it really kind of showed beauty and elegance in her style. It slaughters the hell out of them, but at the same time still looks like a dance. I love that almost sense of it looking like a dance. It looked very beautiful. But yeah, we find out about people being overcome by wrath. We cure them with the music. And then, yes, we go to, well, Julius saves Subaru. Julius is trying to become a Reinhardt. It's like he shows up looking all good. And it's like, dude, you're not Reinhardt. Stop it. You're never going to be Reinhardt, but you're trying really hard, dude. But now we get to the government office. Felix is really upset, obviously, with what happened with Crush. Wants to be mad at Wilhelm. Wilhelm's not giving any excuses. Felix is really distraught by this. We find out that, yes, Crush is kind of disfigured. They don't want to let him see her, or it would hurt her if she was seen. It's kind of interesting that they're kind of putting it that they don't want him to see Priscilla because him specifically would be embarrassing to her. Like, they're almost implying this idea that she would be upset if he's seen her, specifically Subaru. Might be reading too much in that, though. But yeah, we have a little conversation with Anastasia, with Julius in the room, and this is where we're kind of setting up going forward. They established that, yes, technically, Beatrice is an artificial spirit. So that confirms that. That was kind of what I was thinking last episode, is that, yeah, I seem to remember they were mentioning the idea that she was created. So we're confirming there the artificial spirit is Beatrice. But what I didn't know, and maybe I just missed this, yes, the Tome of Wisdom was, like I said, was the book that Beatrice had, so that was my assumption there, is the idea that it's technically both her. I forgot, or just don't remember, her book being destroyed. Yes, I remember Roswell's book. I remember that. I remember her burning that book because that's what set him off, because that was the last thing that he had from Ekidona. So that made sense. But I didn't know that Beatrice dropped her books as well, which it did show briefly where he was pulling her out of that room when everything was kind of on fire. And so, I don't know, maybe that's one of the things where I just forgot about it, or possibly that's a misdirection that it's not actually burnt and that Beatrice actually has it. Because they do say here, yes, they're looking for this Tome of Wisdom. Subaru's saying, I know what it is. It was a prototype of the Gospels that the witches cultists have. And they must not know they're both burned. So this can mean one of two things here. Yes, they just don't know they're burned, and they're looking for something that doesn't exist, and they can say, hey, it doesn't exist, they're both burned. Two, this could mean that there's a third one or more than just two, and Subaru just doesn't know about it, but they know about it. Or three, that yes, technically Beatrice has it, and Subaru just thinks it's burned. That's kind of curious. I'd be very curious about that. But yes, the thing that I don't recall them ever talking about before, maybe I just missed it, was the fact that these were prototypes of the gospel. The indication that I got was the Tome of Wisdoms and the Gospels were the same thing. All of my thought process there was that literally when Subaru seen that in her hands, in Beatrice's hands, he was upset. That is the Gospels. Why do you have that? That's the witches' cult. And I don't recall them ever saying, no, it's not. So what that made me believe was that they were something that was created by Ekidona, and that these are things that the witches' cult took. That is something that Ekidona created, and it's just that, yes, there was two more remaining, and yeah, both of them had it. So yes, it's kind of a news to me, finding out here that they're different things, that these are prototypes of those. Now the question mark is why they want them. Is it because they have another archbishop that they need to have one of these books? That's a question mark. Or they just might not like the idea of somebody else having the same technology or something similar to what they have. I mean, by all accounts, Capella was making those claims after the fact. She already made her claims for the actual city. They want those remains. Was the original intent for them to get those other demands? But yeah, that pretty much wraps up the conversation with the idea that Anastasia, which makes sense to me, Anastasia really kind of thinking from a more kind of critical, a merchant mentality, the idea of, yes, unfortunately, for the sake of saving the many, you're going to have to overlook some of the minority. Some of these people, some of these groups of people that are hiding away, that are losing their minds to the wrath, we can't save them all. And Subaru, a big W right here for him, really kind of seeing things differently in the idea of being a knight. We're very greedy. We want to do heroic things. No, I want to save everybody. I want to save everybody. I do not want to overlook the minority. We're going to save everybody if I can have anything to do with it. Which I think is actually very cool for Subaru as a character because, yes, there's times where he has kind of stated, all I really care about is going to do this. I need to find Emilia. And this entire arc is kind of shown that he has constantly put Emilia to the side for the sake of the people. This dude's being very heroic in the idea of he is more concerned about saving the innocent than going right after Emilia. It shows that he has something else on his mind besides just the girl. Thank you. Thank you for once for our protagonist to do that. As much as I'm concerned for Emilia, she's not in immediate danger right now. Let's focus on the people that can't protect themselves. I think there's an aspect of almost Reinhardt getting into his system. Like even earlier with them talking after everything that happened with his leg and Beatrice going out. Yeah, he even there was like, I want to say that I want to go find Emilia only, but no, let's go have this meeting. We got to find out what we're going to do for this city. And I really do think that's a lot to do with the knights themselves. He's kind of learned a lot about the honor of these knights. And he knows that Julius himself wants to protect all these people too. No, you're like me. You're not like what Anastasia is doing here. Again, I think that Anastasia is thinking like a realist, like the idea that we can't save everybody. We got to focus on saving as many people as we can in bulk rather than worrying about trying to spread that net too thin. Anyhow, I think that's pretty much the entire episode. Looking forward to the next episode, which I think is supposed to be the last one, isn't it? Isn't the last one? Is it the last week? Or is next week 7? No, 7. So we still have 2 more episodes left. We're not at the mid-season finale yet, thankfully. Just a reminder, make sure to check out the shorts they do, the Chibi shorts. This week we got a continuation of last week's episode, which, spoilers for people that have not seen that yet, is a continuation of Al talking to Subaru and Beatrice, which what they kind of added to in this whole sequence was, yes, the fact that, yeah, it looks like Al used the same excuse as Subaru did in the idea that he came from the other side of the Great Waterfall. And yes, he kind of mentioned the idea that, yeah, the princess seen right through it, but she kind of just went, oh, yeah, a lot of people claim they're from there. They're just trying to get attention, but that's fine. You seem to be a different case. Kind of implying the idea that she she understands that he's not crazy in saying that obviously it's not true, but that she acknowledges the idea that he probably is from somewhere else. But yeah, then she also grants him the right to be a clown for her, to stave off my boredom. You're granted the ability to stay off my boredom. Yeah, it seemed like it was kind of putting a lot of note to the idea of him getting away from Emilia when she showed up, which was kind of interesting. It could be the idea of him focusing on his princess, but also kind of insinuates the idea that he doesn't want to be around Emilia for some reason. So interesting. But yeah, they said the Great Waterfall is a location at the end of the world, and it's origin of the water that washes everything in the world away. Very interesting. Which again, I think is where the dragon went off to. So anyhow, that's my thoughts on the episode. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. As always, if you did, hit the like button down below, comment, let me know what's the episode. Additionally, if you're new here, make sure to subscribe if you leave. If you like this content and you want to support the channel more, I have links in the description below. Greatly appreciate what it does. Until next time, y'all take care. And yes, light novel readers, no spoilers below.